Ben sat alone in the dark corner of a cold, metal room. The walls around him hummed softly with strange energy. He had no idea how long he had been there. Time felt different in space. All he remembered was working on an old engine in his garage. In Kansas, then a bright light, a sudden pull, and the next moment he was inside a strange ship with creatures he had never seen before. The Zelari were tall and thin with skin like silver glass. They spoke in sharp clicks, but sometimes used a translator device. At first, they treated Ben like an animal. They poked him, tested his blood, made him breathe strange gases. But he never gave up. He watched them closely. He learned when they slept, what they feared, and how their machines worked. He stayed quiet, but his mind stayed strong. One day, they brought a new device into his cell. It was a mind probe. The scientists wanted to see how a human brain reacted to deep scans. Ben felt the machine touch his mind. It hurt, but he focused on memories that gave him strength. He thought of his dog, his sister's smile, and the sound of summer rain. Somehow, the machine stopped. One of the Zelari fainted. The others looked confused. They tried again. It failed again. Ben's emotions were too strong. Word of the failure spread quickly. Other aliens in the research station came to look at the strange human. They whispered that his mind was different. Some said he was dangerous. Others were curious. Still, Ben remained locked up, waiting for a chance to escape or at least understand what they wanted from him. On the other side of the galaxy, in the shining halls of the Avani Empire, Lysara stood before a great screen. She was tall and graceful, with deep blue eyes and long silver hair. She was a diplomat, known for her wisdom and her strength in court. She always fought for justice, even when it was hard. That day, she was reading a report sent by a contact in the outer sectors. It spoke of a human who resisted a mind probe and caused a telepath to lose control. Lysara had studied humans before. Most of the galaxy saw them as weak and primitive, but she had always believed there was something special about them. Their emotions were deep, and their will was strong. This report made her curious. She asked for more details. When she learned the human was still alive, she sent a formal request. To meet him, the Zelari did not like it. They did not want outsiders to see their research. But Lysara was powerful, and her name carried weight. They agreed, but only under strict rules. She traveled to the station, guarded by 2 of her best soldiers, the moment she entered the cell. Where Ben was kept, she knew he was different. Ben stood up when he saw her. He did not know who she was, but she looked kind. Her voice was calm, and her words came through a translator. She asked his name. He told her. She asked if he was hurt. He nodded. She asked if he was afraid. He looked at her for a long time, and then said, "I was. Not anymore." That answer stayed with her. She spoke with him for over an hour. She asked about Earth, his life, his dreams. He spoke with honesty. He didn't try to sound brave or smart. He just told the truth. Lysara saw something rare in him. He was not only strong in body, but also in heart. When she left the cell, she made a decision. She would not let the Zelari keep him. She would use the old right of diplomatic claim, a law not used in centuries. It allowed a representative to protect a being they believed to be in danger and to take them under their care. She made the claim that very night. The Zelari were furious. They sent messages to the Galactic Council. They said Lysara had no right to take their subject. They demanded a hearing. The council agreed. The case would be heard in the Galactic Court. It would be the first time a human stood before the leaders of the galaxy. Ben had no idea what any of it meant. Lysara explained it to him in simple words. She told him that she believed in him. She told him that he had the right to be free. He asked her why she was helping him. She looked at him and said, "Because change always begins with one brave voice." As they left the Zelari station, Ben looked back once. He had entered as a test subject. He was leaving as something more. He didn't know what the future held. But for the first time since he was taken, he felt hope, and somewhere in the stars, powerful eyes turned to watch the human who would soon change everything. The journey through space was quiet. Ben sat near a small window, watching stars move, past like soft lights in the dark. He had never seen anything like this before. His world had always been full of simple things: tools, engines, coffee in the morning. Now he was on a ship with aliens, heading to a court he didn't understand. Still, he felt safer with Lysara than he ever did with the Zelari. Lysara stayed calm, even when the messages from angry delegates started coming in. Her ship, the Serene Wind, moved fast and quiet. The crew respected her. They did not speak much to Ben, but they nodded when he passed. Slowly, he began to feel like he was not just a prisoner anymore. One evening, Lysara came to the viewing room where Ben sat. She handed him a small tablet with glowing letters. It was a learning device. "This will help you understand our language," she said, "and some things about the court." Ben looked at it and smiled. "Thanks. I'm not the best at books, but I'll try." "You do not need to be perfect," she said. "You just need to be you." That night, Ben began to study. He learned the Avani word for peace, which sounded like a soft breeze. Thalan, he learned the word for voice, Onari, and he learned about the Galactic Court, a place where leaders from many planets made laws together. It was big, powerful, and full of old rules. Lysara watched his progress and felt something new inside her. Most of her life had been spent fighting, with words, making deals, and standing in large halls with proud leaders. But Ben was different. He didn't speak like a politician. He asked simple questions. He cared about simple things, but his heart was strong, and that strength was rare. A few days later, the ship arrived at the capital world. The planet was huge, covered with shining towers and floating platforms. Ships moved in lines like quiet birds in the sky. As the Serene Wind landed, Ben felt his hands shake. Lysara touched his shoulder. "You are not alone." "Walk beside me," he nodded. "I'll try not to mess up." "You cannot mess up if you speak your truth," she said. They entered a wide hall made of silver stone. Creatures of many kinds filled the place. Some had wings, others had 4 arms. Some wore heavy robes, others armor. All of them looked at Ben. Some stared, some frowned, a few whispered, "He is the human." One voice asked, "They brought a primitive creature here." Said another. Ben kept walking. He looked forward and stayed close to Lysara. A meeting was set for the next day. That night, Lysara sat with Ben in a quiet garden. There were glowing trees and soft lights floating in the air. She gave him tea made from Avani flowers. "You do not have to speak tomorrow," she said. "But if you want to, they will listen." "I want to," Ben said. "I don't know what I'll say, but I want them to know I'm not just some test animal." She smiled. "That is enough." The next day, the court gathered. A tall judge, with golden skin and long eyes, called for order. The Zelari spoke first. They showed charts and data. They called Ben a subject, a sample, a lower form of life. They said he was never harmed, only studied. They said their work was legal. Then Lysara stood. She spoke with clear words and strong voice. She told them about Ben's pain, his courage, and the danger of calling any species less than others. She said the galaxy must protect all sentient life, even if that life comes from a small blue planet far away. Then the judge asked Ben to come forward. Ben's heart beat fast. He stepped into the center of the court. He looked at all the eyes. Watching him, he took a deep breath. "My name is Ben," he said. "I'm not a scientist. I'm not a soldier. I fix machines. I never asked to be part of this. One day I was taken. I was locked in a room. I was tested like an animal." He paused. No one spoke. He went on. "But I'm not an animal. I remember my sister's laugh. I remember my dog jumping into the river. I remember being scared and choosing not to give up. If that doesn't mean I'm alive, I don't know what does." The room stayed quiet for a long time. One delegate, a creature with 6 eyes, finally said, "His words carry weight." Another said, "He feels more than some of our own kind." Ben looked at Lysara. She nodded slowly. The judge thanked him. The meeting ended. Outside the court, the crowd was loud. Some supported the Zelari. Others held signs with words like "Protect Earth" and "Respect all life." That night, Ben sat alone in the garden again. He looked at the stars and thought about home. He missed Earth, but he also felt something new. He felt like his voice mattered. Lysara joined him. She sat beside him without speaking for a while. Then she said, "You changed something today." "Do you really think so?" he asked. "Yes," she said, "and this is only the beginning." In the stars above, change had begun, and at the center of it was one human, far from home, standing tall beside an alien who believed in him. Ben woke up to the sound of soft music coming through the walls. The court had ended for the day, but the talks were not over. Delegates were still meeting in private rooms, arguing and planning. Some believed humans should be protected. Others feared what Ben's words could mean for their own actions. Lysara had been in meetings all night. She came back to the guest quarters with tired eyes. Ben stood up when he saw her. "Are you okay?" he asked. She nodded, tired but hopeful. "Some minds are changing." Ben poured her a cup of the Avani flower tea she liked. She smiled and sat beside him. "I never thought I'd be here," he said. "I was just fixing engines a few weeks ago. Now I'm standing in front of the galaxy." "You speak with truth," Lysara said, "and the galaxy needs truth." In the days that followed, things grew tense. The Zelari pushed harder. They brought in old laws and strange rules. They said the claim Lysara made was illegal. They even accused her of stealing. Some delegates turned cold. Others were scared. One night, a shadow moved near Ben's door. A small robot with a needle crept inside. But Ben had learned. He had placed a sensor near the entrance. The alarm woke him, and he grabbed a heavy piece of furniture to crush the robot. Lysara came running. Guards followed. When they saw the broken robot, they knew what it meant. "They are trying to silence you," Lysara said. Ben stayed calm, but deep down he felt anger. He had been taken, tested, and now hunted, all because he was human. "I'm not going to hide," he said. "I didn't come this far to run away." Lysara nodded. "Then we will stand together." News spread quickly. Other worlds began to watch. Some planets had humans living in secret. Some had used humans for labor or tests. The truth scared them. If Ben was given rights, all of them would face questions. But others stood up. A small world called Kelneri sent a message. They had helped a human escape years ago. They offered proof. A group of scholars from a gas planet offered support, saying Ben's mind showed clear signs of sentience and emotion. The court allowed another hearing, this time not just about Ben, but about humanity. Lysara stood again. She showed data from Earth, music, books, families, art. She played a video of children running through a field, laughing. Then she showed pictures of humans helping each other after storms and fires. These are not beasts, she said. They are us, just not yet here. Ben spoke next. He told a story about his friend Tom, who once stayed up all night helping a stranger whose car broke down. He spoke about kindness, fear, hope, and the power to choose. Then the Zellery leader, a cold and sharp being named Trask, stepped forward. He said humans were dangerous because of their emotions. He showed clips of wars on Earth, of weapons and fighting. Ben didn't look away. Yes, we fight, he said. But we also heal. We learn, we forgive. Every species has darkness, but we try. That's what makes us human. The room was silent again. Then a delegate from a water world stood. When I first saw this human, I thought he was small, she said. Now I see, his spirit is large. The tide began to shift. Outside the court, more protests began. Some shouted for justice. Others shouted for silence. But in the middle, a strange thing happened. An alien child walked up to Ben as he was leaving the court. She handed him a small flower made from light. My teacher says you're brave, she said. Ben knelt and smiled. Thank you, that means a lot. Lysara watched and felt her heart fill with pride. Ben was more than a symbol now. He was a light in the dark. But the danger was not over. That night, a ship tried to block the serene wind from leaving the court station. Its weapons were not fired, but the message was clear. Not everyone wanted change. Lysara called a meeting with the court guards. Security was increased. Ben was given a special pass to move freely, but with protection. Still, he did not hide. One evening, he stood on a balcony, looking at the stars. Lysara joined him. Do you regret this? She asked. He shook his head. I miss Earth. I miss my dog. I miss the quiet of my garage. But no, I don't regret it. If I can make life better for others, even a little, then it's worth it. Lysara looked at him and said, You are becoming something rare, a voice that others cannot ignore. The court would soon vote. The galaxy waited, but no matter the result, something had already changed. The stars had heard the voice of a human, and they were listening. The great hall of the Galactic Court was full. Leaders from across the stars had come to watch the final debate. Some wore robes, some armor, and some had bodies that floated or shimmered. But all eyes were on the two figures standing at the center, Lysara and Ben. Lysara stood tall and calm, dressed in a long blue robe that showed her rank. Ben stood beside her, wearing a simple black coat. He looked nervous, but his eyes were clear. He had spoken before, but today was different. Today, they would decide. The head judge, a being made of golden light, called the court to order. The room became quiet. The matter before us, the judge said, is the question of human rights. Are humans to be seen as sentient beings under galactic law or as lower life forms open to use and study. The Zellerai speaker, Trask, was the first to talk. His voice was sharp and cold. Humans are dangerous. Their planet is full of war. They destroy their own kind. They burn forests and poison water. They are not ready for the stars. We should not reward chaos with rights. He showed images from Earth, explosions, soldiers fighting, cities in smoke. Some delegates nodded. Others looked unsure, then Lysa stepped forward. I do not deny that humans have war, she said, but so have all of us. I ask you to look deeper. She played a new video. It showed people saving others from floods, doctors helping strangers, children sharing food, families rebuilding homes together. This is also Earth, she said, and this man, Ben, is proof of their strength and heart. He was taken without reason, tested like a beast, yet he did not turn to hate. He chose to speak, to forgive, and to hope. Ben stepped forward. His voice was steady. I didn't come here to pretend we're perfect, he said. We've made mistakes, big ones, but we can change. I've seen people give everything to help others. That's what being human means. We feel, we care, we keep going, even when it's hard. Silence followed. Then a delegate from a quiet race spoke up. I once lost my sister in a war, he said. I blamed the enemy for years, but I learned peace through understanding. Maybe Earth can learn the same. More voices joined. Some supported Ben, others stayed cautious, but the balance had shifted. Suddenly, a loud sound echoed through the court. A tall alien ran inside, shouting, "There has been an attack." Gasps filled the room. The message came from a news channel. A secret lab had exploded. It was run by a small faction of Zellerai. Documents had been found showing human children taken from Earth, used in silent programs. Some had escaped. Some had died. The court was in shock. Delegates stood. Some shouted in anger. Others called for order. Lysera turned to Trask. You said your work was clean. Was this your doing? Trask looked pale. These were not our official labs. We cannot control every group. But you never spoke against it, Ben said. You turned away. The judge raised a glowing hand. This court will investigate. Until then, the matter grows even more urgent. As the session ended, reporters from every system tried to reach Ben. He stayed quiet, but his face was everywhere now. People from far planets saw him. Some called him brave. Others still called him a threat. That night, Lysara's ship was placed under full guard. A message came from Earth. It was short and simple. We see you. We believe in you. Come home when you can. Ben held a message in his hand. It made his chest feel heavy. He had left Earth without a choice. But now he had a chance to change everything. Lysara stood with him on the viewing deck. She looked out at the stars. This is bigger than us now, she said. The court may rule soon. But no matter the answer, many will try to stop what has started. Ben nodded. Then we don't stop either. That night, another attempt was made on Ben's life. A drone tried to enter the ship through a vent. But this time, the guards were ready. The drone was taken down. It carried a poison needle. This is not just about rights anymore, Lysara told the guards. This is a war of ideas. The next day, a new witness came forward. A Zellerai scientist who had worked on the human tests. She stood in front of the court and said, "It was wrong. They made us think humans were lesser." But Ben proved that was a lie. Her words hit hard. One by one, more spoke out. A pilot who once captured a human, a doctor who treated a hidden colony, even a merchant who had sold human tech now said, "We must stop." The court set a final date for the vote. It would be in 3 days. Until then, the debates would continue, but the world had already changed. Ben sat in his room that night, staring at the stars again. He thought of his garage. He thought of Earth. He missed the smell of oil and the sound of crickets. But he knew he could not go back yet. Lysara brought him a plate of warm food. "Eat," she said softly. "You need your strength." He took a bite, then looked at her. "Do you think they'll vote yes?" "I think they must," she said. "But if they don't, we'll keep fighting. Because now the galaxy knows your name." Ben smiled. For the first time, he felt more than human. He felt like a symbol. And symbols, once lit, don't go out so easily. The days before the final vote were filled with tension. The court halls stayed busy from morning until night. People whispered in corners. Guards stood at every door. News screens showed Ben's face across the galaxy. On some planets, he was a hero, on others, a danger. Ben stayed close to Lysara. He listened as she spoke with other leaders. Some supported her, some didn't, but many were unsure. They didn't want to choose sides yet. One evening, Lysara sat across from a delegate named Vale. He came from a desert world and was known for staying neutral. "Why wait?" she asked him. "You've seen enough." Vale rubbed his chin. "It's not only about right and wrong. Some are afraid. If we give humans rights, what comes next? What if your human becomes the first of many? What if Earth demands a seat at this table? Isn't that what we should hope for?" she said. "A galaxy where all voices are heard." Vale did not answer. That night, more protests filled the city. On one street, a group of aliens held signs that said "Justice for Earth." On another, angry voices shouted, "Keep the stars safe." Ben watched the videos in silence. He felt heavy. It was not just about him anymore. It was about all humans. Every person on Earth. Every child. Every worker. Every dream. He turned to Lysara. "If they vote no, ... what happens to me?" She looked at him gently. "I will protect you, even if I must leave this court and go into exile." Ben smiled, though his eyes were sad. "You believe in me more than I do." "No," she said. "You believe, you just don't see it yet." The next day, something unexpected happened. A leak. Files from deep inside the Zellery Council were released. They showed hidden records of human trade, secret labs, and plans to silence any human who spoke out. The court exploded with shock. Delegates shouted. The Zellery denied it at first. Then one of their own, a scientist named Orin, stood up and confirmed the truth. "I was part of it," he said. "We were told humans were tools, not people." But Ben's words opened my eyes. The room was quiet after that. Lysara stood. "Now you see, this is not just about one human. It's about all of us. What kind of galaxy do we want to be?" More delegates began to speak. A healer from a moon world said, "I met a human girl once. She cried when I was hurt. No other child from my world would have cared." A trader said, "I sold human items for years. I never thought about who made them. Now I wonder how many suffered to get them here." Even Vale, the neutral one, stood and said, "I have waited too long. I vote yes, let humans be free." The vote was set for the next morning. Until then, the halls stayed busy. Ben sat alone in his room, thinking of home. He thought of the day he was taken, the light, the fear, and now the hope. A soft knock came at his door. It was Lysara. "I couldn't sleep," she said. "Me neither." She sat beside him. They didn't speak for a while. Then Ben said, "Do you ever wonder why you helped me?" She nodded. "I do. I think it was your eyes. You looked at me not with fear or hate, but with understanding. That is rare, even among my own kind." Ben looked down. "I just didn't want to die alone." "You didn't," she said. "And now, because of you, many others won't either." The next morning, the court filled once again. The golden judge stood in the center. "All votes are in," the judge said. "Let them be shown." One by one, the votes appeared on the screen. Green for yes, red for no. Yes, yes, no, yes, yes, no. Ben held his breath. More green lights, then a red, then two more green, then one final light. Green. The hall broke into noise. Some cheered, some cried, some left in anger. But the decision was made. The judge raised both hands. By the will of the courts, humans are now recognized as sentient. They are protected under galactic law. Any harm done to them without cause will be seen as a crime. Ben closed his eyes. He felt tears. He felt peace. Lysara touched his arm. "You did it." "No," he said. "We did." Outside the court, more people gathered. A screen showed Ben's face. Below it, a message: "Human rights granted. Change has come." But not everyone was happy. In the shadows of a dark world, a group of Zelari leaders met in secret. "This is not the end," one said. "This is only the start of a greater threat." Back at the court, Ben stood on the balcony, watching ships rise into the sky. For the first time, he felt truly free. He turned to Lysara. "So, what happens now?" She smiled. Now we help others find their voice, like you did." And with that, a new chapter began. The vote had passed, and the news spread like fire across the galaxy. On Earth, people saw Ben's face for the first time. Some cried, some clapped, others simply stood silent, trying to understand what it all meant. One of their own had changed the stars. But peace did not come easily. Even with the court's decision, there were many who still feared change. Some groups in the galaxy believed humans were too dangerous to be free. Others had lost money, power, or secrets because of the vote. Now they wanted revenge. Lysara and Ben stayed inside the serene wind for safety. The ship was hidden in a quiet sector of the capital planet. Guards from neutral systems stood around it day and night. Ben spent his time learning more about the galaxy. He read books on alien lore, watched videos from planets he had never heard of, and practiced the Yavani language. Lysara noticed that he asked better questions every day. "You're learning fast," she said. Ben smiled. "I guess I have to now. I'm not just a guy from Kansas anymore." "You never were just that," she said softly. But then, one morning, a loud alarm shook the ship. Ben jumped from his bed and ran to the control room. Lysara was already there, looking at a red screen. "A fleet is coming," she said. "Unknown ships. They're not from the Council." No ID. Ben's stomach turned. They're coming for me. Maybe for both of us. The serene wind lifted off at once. Lysara's crew moved fast. They flew toward a safe zone guarded by the council. But the unknown ships followed. Ben looked out the window. There were 5 enemy ships, all dark and silent. Lysara called the council for help. A message came back. Help on the way. Hold position. But they were running out of time. The enemy ships began to fire. The serene wind shook as blasts hit the shields. Lights flickered. Systems dropped. Ben grabbed a wrench. What can I fix? Lysara pointed. Go to the lower deck. Reroute the shield power. I'll hold them off. Ben ran. He crawled into the engine tubes and worked fast. His hands moved like they did in his old garage. Wires, sparks, metallit felt almost normal. He found the power lines and rewired them, sending more energy to the shields. The ship stopped shaking so hard. One blast hit, but it did not break through. Then lights appeared in the sky. Council ships arrived. They fired back at the attackers. One enemy ship exploded. The rest pulled away and jumped to light speed. Ben crawled back up, covered in dust and sweat. You did it. Lysara said. We did it, Ben said, breathing hard. After the attack, the council moved them to a high-security base in orbit. They said the danger was not over. The council leader, a calm being with crystal skin, met with Ben and Lysara in a private room. You have become a symbol, Ben, the leader said. But symbols are targets. We must be careful. Ben nodded. I understand, but I don't want to hide forever. You won't, but we need time to build peace. The vote was only the first step. Ben and Lysara were given a new mission to speak to other systems, to help build trust between humans and the galaxy. Ben would be the first official human envoy. It was dangerous work, but Ben agreed. He and Lysara left the capital in a small but strong ship called the Horizon's Path. Their first stop was a planet called Verin, where humans had once been used as workers. Ben spoke to the leaders there. I don't want revenge, he said. I just want to make sure no one else lives in a cage like I did. Some listened, some turned away, but the message began to spread. In time, they visited 5 more worlds. Each time, Ben told his story. Each time, more people believed, but danger followed. On one moon, a bomb was placed under their ship. A local farmer saw the person who planted it and warned the guards in time. The ship was saved. Ben met the farmer in person. Why did you help me? He asked. The farmer, a quiet man with 3 eyes, said, My son was taken once. He never came back. I wish someone had spoken for him like you do now. Ben thanked him. That night, he sat under a strange sky, looking at the stars. I never wanted to be a hero, he said. Lysara sat beside him. You're not a hero because you wanted to be. You're one because you chose to keep going. They stayed on the moon for 2 more days, helping the local people build new schools and systems for peace. Then they left again. The galaxy was still full of fear, but it was also full of hope now. People were talking, thinking, questioning old truths, and at the center of it all was Ben, the man who had been taken from his garage, who had spoken from the heart, and who now carried the voice of a planet on his shoulders.